What is the most dangerous animal in Africa? A lion, a crocodile, maybe a hippo, or the Cape buffalo? Most people would choose one of Africa's giant predators. But there is a problem with that answer. The animal that creates one of Africa's biggest deadly threats is so small that you could miss it completely, and that is only the beginning. Africa is home to some of the most powerful animals on Earth. Some have enormous teeth, some can crush bones, some can attack with incredible speed. Others can kill without you even realizing they are there. Today we are going across Africa to look at some of its most dangerous animals, where they live, why they are dangerous, and what makes each one so difficult to survive an encounter with. And stay until the end, because the final animal completely changes the way you should think about danger in Africa. Number 10. The African lion. Let's start with the animal most people expect to see on this list, the African lion. The lion is one of Africa's most famous predators. It can weigh well over 100 kilograms, possesses powerful jaws, sharp claws, and can reach impressive speeds over short distances. But speed is not its greatest weapon. Teamwork is. Unlike most big cats, lions regularly hunt in groups. A pride can surround prey, cut off escape routes, and attack from different directions. This makes the lion especially effective against large animals. Lions live across parts of sub-Saharan Africa, particularly in savannas, grasslands, and open woodland. They are also highly territorial, and that creates an important rule for anyone entering lion country. A lion does not need to be hungry to be dangerous. A threatened lion can become aggressive because it is protecting its territory, its cubs, or its pride. That is why safari encounters are managed so carefully. The lion may appear calm, it may simply be lying in the grass, but you are looking at an apex predator that has evolved to hunt animals much larger than a human. And that makes the lion one of Africa's most intimidating animals. But it is not number one, not even close. Number 9. The African elephant. Now consider an animal that does not need to hunt you to be dangerous. The African elephant. It is the largest land animal on Earth, and its size alone changes everything. An adult elephant can weigh several tons. It has enormous strength, powerful tusks, and an incredible ability to move through its environment. But the biggest danger comes when an elephant feels threatened. An elephant protecting a calf is a completely different animal from the one you see peacefully feeding beside a safari road. Elephants can charge, they can knock down trees, they can push vehicles, and they can cause fatal injuries through sheer physical force. They live across large parts of sub-Saharan Africa, from savannas and woodlands to forests. There is also something important to understand. An elephant does not have to see you as prey. You are not prey. But if it sees you as a threat, that can be enough. This is one reason experienced guides maintain a respectful distance from elephants. They are intelligent, social, and highly capable animals. Beautiful to watch, extremely dangerous to underestimate. And there is another African animal that has a similar reputation, but it lives much closer to water. Number 8. The hippopotamus. The hippopotamus looks almost harmless. That is one of the biggest mistakes people can make. A hippo spends much of the day in or near water. It looks slow, it looks heavy, it looks almost relaxed. But underneath that appearance is an extremely powerful animal. Hippos are territorial around water, particularly in areas where they spend much of their time. They have enormous mouths and large canine teeth, and when threatened, they can become highly aggressive. This becomes especially dangerous when people get between a hippo and the water. The animal may perceive the situation as a threat, and despite its massive body, a hippo can move surprisingly quickly over short distances. This is one of the most important misconceptions about African wildlife. Danger does not always look fast. Sometimes it looks like an animal sitting quietly in a river. Hippos are found in rivers, lakes, wetlands, and other suitable habitats across parts of sub-Saharan Africa. They spend much of their time in water because it helps them regulate their body temperature. But when they come onto land, their behavior can change dramatically. So if you ever see a hippo in the wild, distance matters a lot. And now we move from one of Africa's most dangerous mammals to one of its most effective ambush predators. Number 7. The Nile crocodile. You may see the water, you may see the river bank, you may even see a crocodile, but sometimes you see nothing. That is what makes the Nile crocodile so dangerous. It is an ambush predator. It can remain almost completely hidden while waiting for an opportunity. The Nile crocodile occurs across much of sub-Saharan Africa in rivers, lakes, wetlands, and other freshwater environments. It has powerful jaws, strong muscles, and a body adapted for hunting in water. Its strategy is simple. Wait, stay hidden, get close, strike. The danger increases when people enter or approach crocodile habitat. A crocodile does not need a dramatic chase. It can attack from the water with very little warning. And once it has seized its target, escaping becomes extremely difficult. This is why local knowledge matters so much around African waterways. A beautiful river can also be a dangerous environment. The water may look calm. The crocodile may be almost invisible. And that is exactly the point. But now we come to an animal that does something completely different. It does not hide in water. It does not stalk from the grass. It can simply stand there and wait. Number 6. The Cape buffalo. The Cape buffalo is one of Africa's most respected animals. It is also one of the animals people should never casually approach. Cape buffalo live across much of eastern and southern Africa, particularly in grasslands, savannas, floodplains, and woodland habitats. Where conditions are suitable, they are large, powerful herd animals, and they have impressive horns. But their danger is not simply about their size. Cape buffalo can become extremely aggressive when threatened. They are also capable of defending themselves against predators. Lions may attack buffalo. Crocodiles may attack them near water. But a buffalo does not always run. Sometimes it fights. This is one reason the Cape buffalo has earned such a formidable reputation. Among people who work with African wildlife, it is easy to make a dangerous assumption when looking at a herd. You see dozens of animals standing together. They appear calm, but calm does not mean safe. A buffalo that feels threatened can react suddenly. And when several large animals move together, the situation can become even more dangerous. The Cape buffalo is not Africa's fastest animal. It does not need to be. Its strength, horns, size, and aggressive defensive behavior make it a serious animal to respect. But now we are leaving the large mammals behind, because the next animal can be much harder to see. Number 5. The black mamba. The name alone creates fear. The black mamba. Despite its name, the snake is not necessarily black. Its body is usually gray, olive, or brownish. The name comes largely from the dark interior of its mouth, but its reputation is real. The black mamba is one of Africa's most feared venomous snakes. It occurs across parts of sub-Saharan Africa, particularly in eastern and southern regions. It is a fast-moving snake. It is also highly venomous. When threatened, it can raise its head, open its mouth, and display its dark interior. And if a serious bite occurs without appropriate medical treatment, the consequences can be severe. But there's an important point that often gets lost in viral wildlife stories. Black mambas do not spend their lives chasing humans. They generally prefer to avoid confrontation. The danger comes when people accidentally approach one, corner it, or interfere with it. That is a pattern we see repeatedly with dangerous wildlife. The animal does not necessarily want you. You simply entered its space. And that is why knowing what lives in your environment matters. But snakes are not the only venomous animals in Africa. Number 4. Venomous snakes. Africa is home to numerous venomous snake species, and their danger varies by species, habitat, venom, and access to medical treatment. Among the best known are black mambas, parfaders, cobras, and several other medically important species. The parfader deserves particular attention because it is widespread across much of Africa and relies heavily on camouflage. And camouflage creates a serious problem. A snake does not have to chase you if you step on it. The snake may simply be sitting quietly. You walk past, you do not notice it, and suddenly you are dangerously close. This is why many snake encounters happen, because of accidental contact rather than deliberate attacks. The lesson is simple. In areas where venomous snakes are present, watch where you step. Be careful around rocks, vegetation, piles of wood, and places where snakes may shelter. And never assume that a snake is harmless simply because it is small. But there's an even bigger surprise coming. Because when people talk about dangerous animals, they usually imagine something with teeth. The next threat has neither. Number 3. The scorpion. Africa has many species of scorpions. Some are relatively harmless. Others possess venom that can cause severe medical complications. Scorpions are found in a wide range of African environments, including deserts, savannas, and other dry regions. They are nocturnal predators. They often hide during the day and become active after dark. That creates another danger. You may not see them. They can hide beneath rocks, inside crevices, under objects, or in other sheltered spaces. And that means simple habits can matter. Checking shoes before putting them on, being careful around rocks, using caution when sleeping or camping in areas where scorpions are common. These are not glamorous survival techniques, but they can matter. And now we reach the final 2, the animals people usually forget when they make lists like this. Number 2. The Tsetse fly. The Tsetse fly is tiny, but its impact has been enormous. Tsetse flies occur in parts of sub-Saharan Africa and can transmit parasites that cause African trypanosomiasis, also known as sleeping sickness. Unlike a lion, the tsetse fly does not need enormous muscles. It does not need claws. It does not need powerful jaws. Its danger comes from what it can transmit. This is an important lesson when thinking about Africa's wildlife. Danger is not always about physical strength. Sometimes it is biological, and sometimes the smallest creatures have the biggest consequences. But even the tsetse fly is not the biggest story, because there is one tiny animal that has caused an enormous human health burden across Africa. Number 1. The mosquito. The mosquito. Yes, the mosquito. Not the lion, not the crocodile, not the hippo. The mosquito. But we need to be precise. Not every mosquito is dangerous. Certain mosquitoes transmit diseases, and among them are female Anopheles mosquitoes, which transmit malaria. According to the World Health Organization, malaria caused an estimated 282 million cases and 610,000 deaths worldwide in 2024, and the scale of Africa's burden is extraordinary. The WHO African region accounted for about 95% of global malaria cases and deaths in 2024. That means this tiny insect represents a vastly different category of danger from a lion or crocodile. The mosquito does not need to overpower you. It does not need to chase you. It can transmit a parasite through a bite, and malaria can become life-threatening. The WHO says young children are particularly vulnerable, with children under 5 accounting for about 3/4 of malaria deaths in the WHO African region in 2024. This is why the mosquito changes the entire conversation. If we define danger by physical power, the lion looks terrifying. If we define danger by the ability to cause serious disease and death at population scale, the mosquito becomes a completely different story. And that is the twist. Now I want to know your answer. If you had to choose only one, which African animal would you be most afraid to encounter? The lion, the hippo, the crocodile, the Cape buffalo, the black mamba, or the mosquito? Put your answer in the comments. And if you thought the mosquito would be number one, you probably understand why the most dangerous animal is not always the biggest one. Follow Born African Forever for more African wildlife, history, leaders, cities, cultures, and facts that deserve to be known. Because there is much more to Africa than the stories you usually hear.